Rose, and welcome back to my channel. I would like to do this particular video on a concept that we used in medicine when I was practicing allopathic medicine. It's something we use in shorthand to describe the vision and the way we describe sight. And as I've been moving through my journey and making sense of my own experiences, I discovered a crossover between what I was experiencing in the medical field and what I was experiencing in spirituality. They kind of cross each other. So one of my favorite things to do is to use the things I've learned about scripture and the concepts I've learned about medicine. And it's really helped me to deconstruct my own truths. And like I said in the first video, there are many truths. I've discovered that truths go through a number of different fires and can be purified. The word in scripture is literally purified 7 times before you reach the ultimate truth. So let's begin with this concept, which is one of my favorite. We're going to keep this not simple stupid, but stupid simple. All right, so the OS, this is a shorthand for oculus sinister. And OD is a shorthand for oculus dexter. Boring, eh? And this is literally the right eye, sight, and the left eye sight. You might have seen this on an eye prescription when you get your eyes done. So what I noticed one day was how this word popped out to me. And then I realized that some of the info that I received was around a term used in trigonometry, SINE. And this is the waveform that they use in trigonometry. And we can literally put this in here and this in here. This is the negative waveform where we have been collectively experiencing the first few dimensions of the earthly experience. And this is where we're collectively meant to play now. Now, I cannot speak to whether everyone is moving into that collective. I'm certain there are those who are choosing to stay down here for the experience of being in this negative, where we'll just not negative as in good or bad, but this energy that runs down instead of up. So simply put, there's a couple of different tracks. So if this is the Godhead up here, and we're birthed from that source energy, and we want to have an experience to know ourselves, we will go down this descending path, which is to go down. And I know that I personally have descended all the way down to a rock, and that's pretty dense. Brings a whole nother concept to being dumb as a box of rocks. I have a funny story behind that, but I'm not going to tell it here. Anyway, and so as we come up, our physical density lightens up. It becomes less dense, so less like a rock. And we move through the other dimensions. So we go second dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension, in the concept of how physical we are. So if you think of the Polaroid pictures and how a picture can be laid on top of a picture, on top of another picture, and on top of another picture, at its densest form, it would be like a rock. And then as the rock breaks down, it'll become a lighter form, like a metal or like a crystal. So this is more like the crystal time that we're moving into now as a collective. And whereas some folks are playing that descending role, where they're moving towards this particular role. So when we talk about good versus evil and things like that, there are those who are actors who are playing the role, the sinister role, or in trigonometry we call this a S-I-N-E, and then this would be the positive S-I-N-E. And both are still part of a matrix system. So I want to really get that across, is just because it's moving into a positive doesn't mean that you've fully dropped what we call the matrix. This is another matrix right here. It does not mean you can't break away from this if you want to break away from this, but that's not part of this video. So when we see this energy moving up, people might refer to this as ascension because it's moving up. And then this, of course, is descension. So the descension track is part of the left eyesight, and the ascension track is part of the right eyesight. And when I talk about the right eye insight, I'm talking about what we call God. Whereas over here, this can be looked at as left our self. We left ourself, which is ultimately from the Godhead, to take a ride down the elevator to the rock, and now we're going up the elevator to have a different experience. So there are folks playing this role, and there are folks playing this role. So as I go through each of these videos, I want to simplify some of this so it doesn't seem so scary. And it also has helped me to simplify some of the words that are used in religion. Because as I was learning some of these as a child, I decided I would never return to a church because of an experience I had there where I went there and heard things that just simply made me feel like I wanted to get sick. And that was just before I had my first clairaudient experience with what I would call God. And what was spoken to me is if someone was standing right in front of me, I couldn't have been more than 9 or 10 years old, was Rosie, and no one uses that word with me except, immediate family. Rosie, there is no such thing as the devil, and there is no such thing as hell. And I felt that to the core of my being, and that message just followed me in my entire life. So this I wanted to share with you. And as each of these videos get made, I will get better at describing them and using less of the because I realize I'm doing that. There I go again. So this is actually enough for this video, and I'll just keep building upon these concepts, and this is going to take on many, many, many different forms. It's a lot of fun for me to share some of what I've come to know that's really the fashion or the passion that is the fire inside my heart. It literally fuels me to do this self-discovery, and the self-discovery really began as my self-love project, and it has taken me down so many different pathways down what they call that rabbit hole. And how far do you want to go? Oh my gosh, it has been both amazing and the most challenging experience of my incarnation. So that's all for today, and I thank you for joining me on my channel.